You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello and welcome to the Diary of a Wannabe Writer. Today is Friday, check my watch, 26th of April 2024, and what I'm going to talk to you today is about the next step in the process. So I have finished a novel called the English Hikikomori. I believe it is, if not publication ready, it's certainly ready to send to someone. And I've nearly finished my other book, which is called Still Life. Still Life is potentially the opening story of a trilogy. I won't talk about too much about what it's about now, because I'm going to focus on talking about the English Hikikomori. So the English Hikikomori I started in 2018. It took me about a year to write the first draft, and then I made the mistake in the editing process of literally going to like lulu.com or KDP or one of them and literally printing it out as a novel, and decided to do my edit on there with a pen. Yeah. And it was just the stupidest way of attempting to edit that you've ever seen in your life, because it just looked enormous and it felt like such a big job and such an uphill struggle. It killed me. It nearly finished me off. I nearly didn't do the edit. Anyway, eventually I got round into some more sensible editing habits, of which you'll have either seen or heard me talk about on the podcast or seen on my Twitch streams at twitch.com. Search for Richard A. Boxall. So what I'm going to do today is talk about what I'm going to do with the English Hikikomori. It's a story about a young man who, in the first chapter of the book, loses his family in a car crash. He's the only survivor. He potentially has a very comfortable life. His family were very well off. They have a lovely house with grounds, not like the groundskeeper and all that, but just like 11 acres of garden, and he's just potentially got it easy. But of course, he hasn't got it easy, because he's just lost his entire family. He's suffering from severe depression. He was already suffering from depression before the accident, and he's now working up to suicide. And he's also taken great lengths to make his friends believe that he is okay. So what he's done is he's gone on this big holiday to a big sort of holiday exploring Australia, when actually so the first half of the book is actually told as though that fake story is real. So he's going around in Australia and seems to be meeting people and seems to be starting to sort himself out, and then halfway through the story he gets unexpectedly killed in a cable car ride. And there's been one other incident earlier in the book where some people he had met in a hostel get caught up in it turns out not to be a terrorist situation. It's just a disgruntled idiot driving into people with a van, and some of the girls he's met at the hostel are caught up in this. They're not badly hurt, but they're quite shaken up. Anyway, cut back to the second half of the book, and you've literally got he's back at the airport about to leave, which is where he started, but instead of getting on the plane, he lies to his ex-girlfriend Lauren. Doesn't get on, makes out that he's going on the plane. He's got tickets and everything, but he decides not to go, and goes back home and hides in a shed, effectively. His dad had a working room where he used to go to work rather than just work from home in the house. He had an outbuilding that had converted into an office, so it's got electricity, it's got water, it's got a bathroom. So Freddie decides to live in there because it's less painful than living in the house surrounded by the memories of his family. And during this time he's getting more and more depressed. We see the news item that the girls allegedly get caught up in, and his reaction to it in the real world, and you can see him slowly sliding downhill and working up to committing suicide. So it's a book about male mental health. It's not an easy read, but I'm very proud of it. It's not autobiographical in that I have never been depressed enough to consider suicide, but it's autobiographical from the point of view that there was at one point in my life a quite severe deterioration in my mental health, and I think if I hadn't resolved it, it could have gone the way Freddie's story goes. It didn't. I never got close to that because I kind of saw the danger signs and made the changes to my life that I needed to do to prevent that from happening. Anyway, so the long and the short of it is that is finished. It's been finished a long time. I think I finished it in 2019. No, I didn't. I've been tinkering with it ever since, but it's been finished for a year or two. So now I need to do something with it. And I've been procrastinating and not doing anything with it. So what I'm going to do today is I bought myself in 2022 a copy of the Writers and Artists Yearbook. And one of the things in there is it literally lists all the literary agents. Well, not all, but certainly a large number of the literary agents that will accept submissions. I mean, there's pages of them. So, for example, literally going to the very beginning, the first agency listed is called the Accidental Agency. And it says in here, agency specialising in non-fiction for adults. So already I can say, well, no, that's not suitable for me because my work is very much fiction. The second one is called Avitas Creative Management UK Limited, and it says a management company that represents writers, speakers and brands, wide range of genres represented including history, science, biography, autobiography, politics and current affairs, literary fiction, crime, thrillers. So that's possible. They've got a list of their clients. I have heard of a couple of them. So that one might not be my first choice, but that one certainly would fit. And I was reading through the list yesterday, and then I got to one called the Lorella Belli Agency Limited, and it says full service literary and management agency, works with film, TV and overseas associates, represents American literary agencies in the UK, sells translation rights on behalf of British publishers, fiction and non-fiction, particularly interested in first-time writers. So that immediately made me think, right, and it does list the genres, and they would fit. It does say only online submissions, but yeah, so that one, because they're interested in first-time writers, seems like a really good fit. So this is my plan over the next few days. There are, let me see, starts on page 430. Just winging this a little bit. There are 43 pages of these literary agents. Some of them contain as many as 4 or 5 agencies. So I'm going to read through all of them, taking my time, and choose the ones that I think are the best fit. There might be someone in there that says they're interested in fiction that's about mental health, for example. I doubt it will get that specific, but it might. The one there that's already said they're interested in first-time writers, it seems like a good fit. So I'm going to go through the entire thing, and then I'm going to make a list of any that have a specific thing in them that make me think they'd be a good fit. As I say, like the one I mentioned earlier, the Lorella Belli Literary Agency. Seems like potentially a good fit because it's interested in first-time writers. And I shall make a list of all of the ones that have that something specific in them that make them more appropriate than the others in the book, and then I shall pick the top 3 from those, and I am going to, using their submission guidelines, submit the English Hikikomori to them. Some of them will require post, some of them require just an email, some of them require first 30 pages, some of them just want the first 3 chapters. So again, I will look at the specific submission guidelines in there and make a decision on what I'm going to do, who I'm going to send it to, and my goal is to do that, or to have the reading done, to go through all the list of agencies by the end of this month, and have my first 3 agencies chosen and submitted to by the 31st of the month. That's Tuesday. That's in a few days' time. So that's what I'm planning to do. So that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore. That's all you need to know about what I'm planning. Any feedback, any thoughts, all the contact details are available on the website, which is www.richardaboxallwrites.blogspot.com, and also at the end of this there is a link tree spoken in the end credits that tells you about where you can find details of all my social media. I am a Twitch streamer, so this recording of this podcast is the first one I've actually recorded live on a Twitch stream. But yes, I'd be fascinated for any thoughts or feedback. Thank you for listening, and take care. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.